Jinwoo stared at the red lights floating in space. They looked like drops of blood against the black emptiness. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, stayed far away from those warning lights. Everyone knew the rules. No one goes near the Sol system. No one asks why, but Jinwoo was different. He was young and curious. He worked as a helper for the big important people in the Galactic Council. His job was to read reports and answer questions. But today, he had his own questions. "Why do we stay away from that place?" he asked Captain Sumin. She was tall, with green skin and gills on her neck like a fish. She had been flying ships for many years. Su-Min looked uncomfortable. Her gills moved fast when she was nervous. "Some things are better left alone, Jinwoo. The council put those red lights there for a good reason." Jinwoo looked at his computer screen. He tried to find information about the Sol system. He found lots of files, but they were all locked. Big red letters said top secret and do not open. This made him more curious. "What happened there?" he asked again. "I don't know," Sumin said, "and I don't want to know. My grandfather told me stories when I was little. He said there used to be creatures there called humans, bad creatures, very dangerous." Jinwoo had never heard of humans before. He searched his computer for any information. He found only small pieces. Old medical reports about soldiers who came back from somewhere acting crazy. Reports about buying new weapons and ships. Lists of dead people. Lots and lots of dead people. "Captain, look at this," Jinwoo said. He showed her the numbers on his screen. "These reports say we lost millions of soldiers somewhere, and hundreds of big warships. What could kill so many of our people?" Sumin's big eyes went wide. She grabbed Jinwoo's arm with her cold, scaly hand. "Stop looking at those files. Right now." "But Captain, I just want to understand." "No," Sumin said loudly. Other workers on the ship looked at them. "Some doors should never be opened, Jinwoo. Some secrets are kept secret to protect everyone." Jinwoo nodded, but he didn't mean it. When Sumin walked away, he kept looking at his computer. He found more pieces of information. Strange words like stellar cascade and blood marker protocol. Names of people he had never heard of. Reports about something called psychological warfare. The most interesting thing he found was an old message. It was very short, and most of the words were missing, but he could read. They turned their own star into a weapon. Total fleet casualties. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Species too dangerous for integration. Jinwoo's hands shook as he read it. Someone had turned a star into a weapon. That seemed impossible. Stars were huge balls of fire in space. How could anyone use them to fight? He looked out the window at the red warning lights again. They pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, like they were alive and waiting for something. Jinwoo called Do-Hai from across the room. She worked with the communication equipment. "I'm getting strange readings from those beacon lights. They're sending out signals I've never seen before." "What kind of signals?" Jinwoo asked. "I don't know. They're very old signals, but they're getting stronger. Like something is waking up." Captain Sumin heard this and ran over to them. "What did you just say?" "The beacon lights, Captain. They're acting different than usual. The signals are changing." Sumin looked scared now. Really scared. "Jinwoo, what exactly were you looking at in those files?" "Just old reports, Captain. Nothing important." "Show me now." Jinwoo showed her his computer screen. Sumin read the broken message about the star weapon. Her face went very pale. "Oh no," she whispered. "No. Yinu, what have you done?" "I just read some old files. I didn't do anything." "You don't understand," Sumin said. She was moving very fast now, pushing buttons on the ship's controls. "Those files are connected to security systems. When someone reads them, it sends signals. It tells someone that people are asking questions. Who does it tell? Sumin didn't answer. She was too busy trying to make their ship go faster, away from the red lights. But Jinwoo could see on his screen that it was too late. The beacon lights were pulsing faster now, and deep inside the Sol system, something was moving, something big, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. Captain Dehai called out. Her voice was shaking. I'm detecting massive energy signatures from inside the quarantine zone. Whatever is in there, ... it's waking up. Jinwoo looked at the red lights one more time as their ship flew away as fast as it could. The lights seemed different now. Before, they looked like a warning that said stay away. Now, they looked like eyes opening after a very long sleep, and those eyes were looking right at them. Admiral Heijin remembered the day everything went wrong. It was 300 years ago, but the memory still made his hands shake. He was young then, proud of his big warships and powerful weapons. The Galactic Council had sent him to visit a new planet called Earth. The humans looked weak. They had small ships and simple weapons. They fought each other all the time and couldn't even travel to other stars properly. Heijin thought this would be easy. We come in peace, he told the human leaders through his translator. Join our Galactic Council. We will teach you and protect you. All you have to do is follow our rules. The human woman who answered him was named Mina. She was small, with dark hair and calm eyes. She listened to everything Heijin said. Then, she smiled. Thank you for the offer, she said. But no, Heijin was confused. No species had ever said no to the council before. You don't understand. We have thousands of ships. We have weapons that can destroy planets. If you don't join us willingly, we will make you join us. Mina's smile got bigger. We understand perfectly. We've been watching you for many years. We know about your ships and your weapons. We know about all the other planets you've conquered. Then, you know you cannot win against us. We know we cannot win the way you expect us to fight, Mina said. But humans don't always fight the way others expect. Heijin decided to show them how powerful the council was. He sent one big warship to their fourth planet, Mars. It was supposed to be a simple demonstration. Destroy a few buildings, scare the humans, make them surrender. But when his ship got there, hundreds of human ships were waiting. Their ships were small and ugly compared to his beautiful warship. They had no energy shields and no laser weapons, just metal rockets and explosive bombs. The human ships attacked like angry insects. They came from all directions at once. Some of them crashed right into his warship on purpose. Others shot rockets that exploded and sent pieces of metal flying everywhere. But the strangest thing was what they put inside their rockets. When Heijin's soldiers tried to board the human ships, they got sick. The humans had put diseases inside their weapons. Different diseases for different types of council, soldiers. The Altarians with their fish gills couldn't breathe. The Kylorians with their big brains got terrible headaches. The Zentarians with their strong bodies became weak and slow. How do they know our weaknesses? Heijin asked his medical officer, Deng Haiyan. They've been studying us, sir, for years. Maybe decades. They know exactly how to hurt each of our species. By the end of the fight, Heijin had won. His warship destroyed all the human ships, but it cost him almost everything. His beautiful warship was broken and burning. Half his crew was dead or sick. 3 of his smaller ships were completely destroyed. No enemy had ever hurt the council so badly in a single fight. Min-Ah sent him a message as her ship was exploding. This was just practice, Admiral. We wanted to see how strong you really are. Now the real war begins. The real war was worse than any nightmare. The humans didn't fight like normal people. They turned everything into a weapon. They hid bombs inside their own space stations. They sent fake surrender messages that were actually computer viruses. They even turned their garbage into missiles. But the worst thing was how they made the council soldiers feel. The The humans knew exactly what scared each different species. They played sounds that made Altarian ears hurt. They showed pictures that made Kylorians go crazy. They sent smells that made Zentarians sick. Captain Jehuk came back from fighting on Earth's surface. He was a brave soldier who had won many wars, but now he couldn't stop shaking. They don't fight to win, he told Heijin. They fight to make winning so expensive that you wish you had never started fighting. The humans destroyed their own cities rather than let the council take them. They poisoned their own water so council soldiers couldn't drink it. They even hurt their own people to make the council soldiers feel guilty. After 2 years of fighting, Heijin had conquered the human planets. But he had lost most of his fleet. Millions of soldiers were dead. The ones who survived were too scared to fight anymore. Then the humans did something impossible. Admiral, his science officer said, the human star is acting strange. The sun is getting brighter and hotter. What does that mean? I think, I think they're trying to make their own sun explode. Heijin couldn't believe it. That's impossible. And if they did that, it would kill everyone in this star system. Including them. Yes, sir, including them. That's when Heijin finally understood what kind of enemy they were fighting. The humans would rather die and take everyone with them than surrender. The star explosion didn't destroy everything, but it killed most of Heijin's remaining ships. The few survivors ran away as fast as they could. They had won the war, but it felt like losing. Dr. Donghan had seen many wars, but nothing prepared him for what came back from the Sol system. His medical ship was full of broken soldiers, not broken bodies, broken minds. Captain J. Huck sat in the corner of the medical room. He was a famous warrior who had conquered 12 different planets for the Council. Now he just stared at the wall and whispered the same words over and over. They're still watching me. Who is watching you? Donghayan asked gently. The humans. Even when they're dead, they're still watching. Donghayan had heard this same story from hundreds of soldiers. They all said the humans were different from any enemy they had ever fought. Other species surrendered when they were losing. Humans got more dangerous. Lieutenant Young Sik came to see him next. His scales were falling off from stress, and his hands wouldn't stop shaking. Doctor, you have to understand, Young Sik said. We thought we were fighting a war. But the humans were playing a different game entirely. What do you mean? They studied us for years before we ever met them. They knew everything about us, what we eat, how we think, what makes us afraid. They turned our own biology against us. Young Sik showed Donghayan pictures from his helmet camera. The human cities looked normal from above, but when Council soldiers went inside, everything was wrong. The buildings were designed to make tall Zentarians feel trapped and scared. The colors on the walls hurt Altarian eyes. The sounds from hidden speakers made Kylorian minds confused. Even the smell of the air was carefully made to make different species feel sick. They turned their entire planet into a psychological weapon, Young Sik said. Every street, every building, every room was designed to hurt us without firing a single shot. But the worst stories came from the soldiers who fought in space around Earth's moon. Sergeant Timon had led boarding parties onto human ships. What he found there still gave him nightmares. The humans would surrender their ships, Timon explained. They would send signals saying they gave up, so we would board their ships to take prisoners. That sounds normal, but it was a trick. The humans had left their ships, but they left presents for us. Rooms full of poison gas that only hurt certain species. Computer viruses that played sounds to drive us crazy. Even worse things. Tamon's voice got very quiet. In one ship, we found a room full of pictures. Pictures of our families back home. Pictures of our children. The humans had somehow learned who we were and found photos of everyone we loved. They put the pictures on the walls, with messages written in our own languages saying we know where they live. How could they know such things? They had spies everywhere, Doctor. For decades before the war started, They knew us better than we knew ourselves. The medical reports kept getting worse. Soldiers came back talking about human tactics. That made no sense. The humans had used their own children as soldiers. They had destroyed their own hospitals and schools, rather than let the council use them. They had poisoned their own food supplies. Commander So-young brought the strangest report of all. She had been part of the final assault on Earth's capital. "City. We surrounded the city," she said. "Millions of humans were trapped inside. We offered them one last chance to surrender. What happened? They voted. Right there in the middle of the battle. They held an election. Every human in the city, men, women, even children, voted on whether to surrender or keep fighting. What did they choose?" So-young's large eyes filled with tears. They chose to turn their city into a bomb. They said they would rather die as free humans than live as council slaves. Then they did it. They destroyed their own city with themselves. Inside it, the worst part wasn't the fighting though. The worst part was what happened at the end. Admiral Heijin had finally defeated the human military. Their planets were conquered. Their ships were destroyed. Their cities were in ruins. It should have been over, but then the humans did something that no one expected. They turned their own sun into a weapon. It took them 50 years to prepare, reported Chief Science Officer Kyung-ho. They had been secretly building machines around their star since before we ever arrived. When they were about to lose the war completely, they activated those machines. The human star didn't explode completely. Instead, it sent out waves of deadly energy and strange matter that spread through the entire solar system. Most of Admiral Heijin's remaining fleet was caught in the blast. Of the 3 million soldiers who had come to conquer humanity, only a few 100,000 survived to return home. They brought with them stories that no one wanted to believe. The humans didn't just fight us, Captain BRM told the council leaders. They fought the very concept of surrender. They would rather destroy everything, including themselves, than admit defeat. The victory celebration that should have happened never came. Instead, there were only funerals and hospitals full of traumatized soldiers. The council had won the war against humanity, but the cost was so high that it felt like the greatest defeat in their history and in the deepest secret files. Some scientists wrote reports that worried them even more. The energy readings from the Sol system suggested that the star weapon hadn't destroyed the humans, it had hidden them. Council Speaker In-ho looked tired as he stood before the great assembly hall. 300 leaders from different worlds sat in their floating chairs, all waiting to hear what would happen next. The war with humanity was over, but nobody felt like celebrating. "We need to decide what to do with the Sol system," In-ho said. His voice echoed in the quiet room. "The humans are gone. Their star weapon killed them, along with most of our fleet. But we cannot simply forget what happened there." Science Minister Yujin stood up first. She was small and blue, with 4 arms that moved when she talked. "I have studied the reports from our survivors. What we experienced in that system was unlike any war in our history. I propose we create something new, the Blood Marker Protocol." Many council members looked confused. Defense Minister Kyung-ho made a rude noise with his breathing holes. Blood markers. They were monsters who chose to destroy everything rather than surrender. Why should we honor them? Yujin's 4 arms moved faster. Because they were not monsters. They were parents protecting their children. They were soldiers defending their home. The fact that they almost destroyed us shows a strength we must never underestimate again. Cultural analyst So-young nodded her large head. "I have. Read the personal logs from our soldiers. The humans fought the way they did because they truly believed we were evil invaders. From their perspective, they were heroes saving their world. Heroes." Kyung-ho's skin turned dark red with anger. "They killed millions of our people, and we killed billions of theirs," So-young replied quietly. "The difference is that we came to their home uninvited. We demanded they surrender their freedom. What would any of us do if strangers came to our worlds and made the same demands? The room became very quiet. Many council members looked uncomfortable because they knew So-young was right. Inho raised his hand for silence. Minister Yujin, explain your blood marker protocol. Yujin activated a holographic display that showed the Sol system. Instead of claiming Sol as conquered territory, we establish it as a permanent quarantine zone. We place red warning beacons around the entire system. These beacons will serve multiple purposes. The hologram showed red lights forming a circle around the human star system. First, they mark the system as a graveyard, a place where millions died on both sides. Second, they warn future generations about the price of awakening such a determined species. Third, they give our people a proper memorial to process their trauma. Defense Minister Kung Ho still looked angry. You want to build a monument to our enemies? I want to build a reminder, Yujin said. The beacons will contain biological material from both human and council casualties. Their blood mixed with ours. This will show that the cost of this war was paid by everyone. Medical Officer Taemin stood up slowly. He looked much older than before the war. I support Minister Yujin's proposal. Our soldiers need closure. They need to feel that their friends' deaths meant something. A memorial will help them heal. What about the archives? Asked Information Minister Hyen-woo. The detailed reports of what happened. Inho looked around the room. All files related to the Sol campaign will be sealed. Future generations do not need to know exactly how close we came to total defeat. Let them think the quarantine protects against some ancient plague or dangerous radiation. But as the council members voted, senior military strategist Taemin submitted a private report that made Inho's blood run cold. Taemin was their best scientist, and his deep space sensors had detected something disturbing. Speaker Inho, Taemin said after the meeting, I must show you something in private. They went to Taemin's laboratory, where strange readings covered multiple screens. These energy signatures are coming from deep inside the Sol system, the stellar cascade that we thought killed the humans. I don't think it was a weapon of destruction. What do you mean? Taemin pointed to the readings. Look at these patterns. The energy output is too organized, too controlled. I believe the humans used their star to create some kind of protective barrier. The stellar cascade wasn't meant to kill everything in the system. Inho felt sick. You're saying they're still alive? I'm saying the stellar cascade was a cocoon. The humans may have used it to hide while they rebuilt their civilization. And if that's true, they've had 3 years since the war ended to prepare for our return. Inho stared at the readings. The implications were terrifying. If the humans had survived and spent 3 years planning their revenge, your report will be classified beyond top secret. Inho decided. No one else can know about this. The council voted for the blood marker protocol, believing the humans are dead. We cannot change that now. But sir, if I'm right, if you're right, then the quarantine beacons serve an even more important purpose. They won't just warn others to stay away from a dangerous system. They'll warn us to stay away from an enemy that's had years to prepare for round 2. 3 months later, the blood-red beacons were installed around the Sol system. Most council members thought they were marking a graveyard and honoring the dead. Only Inho and Taemin knew they might actually be marking the boundaries of the most dangerous military installation in the galaxy. The beacons pulsed their warning into the darkness, counting down the days until humanity was ready to emerge from their stellar cocoon. Jinwoo's hands were shaking as he read the last secret file on his computer. Now he understood everything. The red warning lights around the Sol system weren't just marking a dead place. They were marking something that was sleeping. Captain Suman's voice came through the ship's speakers, loud and scared. Come to the bridge right now. Emergency. He ran through the corridors of their ship as fast as he could. When he got to the bridge, everyone was staring at their screens with wide, frightened eyes. What's happening? Jinwoo asked. Navigation Officer Haiyan Wu pointed at his display. The red beacon lights are acting strange. They're pulsing in patterns we've never seen before. And look at this. The screen showed energy readings from inside the Sol system. Huge spikes of power were coming from deep within the Forbidden Zone. Things were moving in there. Big things. How big? Jinwoo whispered. Some of these objects are larger than our biggest space stations, Haiyan Wu said. And they're moving fast. Faster than anything should be able to move. Communications Officer. Dohai looked up from her equipment. Her face was pale. Captain, I'm detecting artificial structures throughout the entire Sol system. Whatever built them has technology far beyond anything in our databases. Captain Suman's gills were flapping, so fast they looked like they might tear. How long has it been since the quarantine was established? 312 years, Jinwoo said quietly. Everyone on the bridge went silent. 300 years was a long time. Long enough for any surviving species to rebuild. Long enough to plan revenge. Suddenly, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships were coming out of the Sol system. Sleek, dangerous-looking vessels that moved through space like hunting animals. Captain, Dehai called out, her voice cracking. One of those ships is sending us a message. The transmission is in perfect galactic standard. Sumin closed her eyes for a moment. Put it through. The main screen filled with the image of a human face. Jinwoo had never seen a human before, but he knew immediately what she was. She looked young, but her eyes seemed ancient, like someone who had seen too much. When she spoke, her voice was calm and confident. Greetings, Council Vessel. I am Admiral Vijin of the Human Stellar Navy. Human Stellar Navy. Jinwoo felt his heart stop. The humans weren't extinct. They had spent 3 centuries building a military force. Your investigation into our historical archives has been noted and appreciated, Admiral Vijin continued. We've been waiting patiently for someone to finally ask the right questions. Captain Sumin found her voice. We thought your species was destroyed in the stellar cascade. The human admiral smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. The stellar cascade was never meant to destroy us, Captain. It was meant to hide us while we prepared for this conversation. What conversation? The one we should have had 300 years ago, before your council decided to invade our home without invitation. Jinwoo looked at the tactical display. More human ships were emerging from the Sol system every minute. Dozens of them, all heading toward Council space. We spent the first 50 years healing from our wounds, Admiral Dejin said. We spent the next 100 years studying everything we captured from your invasion fleet. Your technology, your languages, your cultures, your weaknesses. She paused, letting that sink in. We spent the last 150 years building something new. Ships that can outrun your fastest vessels. Weapons that can penetrate your strongest shields. Most importantly, we learned patience. What do you want? Suman asked. The same thing we wanted 3 centuries ago. To be left alone. But now we realize that won't happen unless we make the Council understand the cost of bothering us again. The human ships were spreading out, taking positions around the quarantine zone. Jinwoo realized they weren't just leaving the Sol system. They were taking control of the space around it. Please transmit our regards to the Galactic Council, Admiral Vajin said. Tell them we remember their visit. Tell them we've had 3 centuries to consider our response. She leaned forward, and Jinwoo saw something in her eyes that made his blood turn cold. It wasn't anger or hatred. It was the calm determination of someone who had already decided what needed to be done. Tell them we're coming to talk. The transmission ended. Around them, the red beacon lights that had warned the galaxy to stay away for 300 years began pulsing in a new rhythm, faster, more urgent. Captain, Haiyan Wu said in a tiny voice, those aren't warning beacons anymore. What are they? They're countdown timers. Jinwoo watched the human fleet spread across the starfield like a dark tide. The quarantine hadn't contained humanity. It had given them time and space to become something far more dangerous than what the council had barely survived before. The blood-red markers that had once said stay away now pulsed with a new message. Ready or not, here we come, as their ship fled toward council space to carry the terrible news. Jinwoo realized that his curiosity had awakened, something that had been sleeping for 3 centuries, and now everyone would pay the price for what the council had done so long ago.